Welcome to our 1-year anniversary of the Weekly Recharge Show. I'm John.
And I'm Griffin.
And we have, as always, a ton to cover. So we had a one-on-one interview with Michael Cannavo, who is in charge of Super73. So we got a bunch of details on the up-and-coming model that we're going to share with you.
Some really cool, exclusive insights. So stick around for that.
Looking forward to that. And there's also in some news this week, a bike maker who has made a proposal for more tariffs, and we need your help opposing those.
One of the wildest headlines I've seen in a while. We got a lot of reactions.
And we're also going to give away some stuff, so be sure to stick around for details on that later in the episode.
Who doesn't like free stuff, am I right? But all that and more on this episode of the Weekly Recharge. Okay, there was a whole bunch of news headlines this week, so let's just dive right in with arguably like one of the bigger things I think I've come across lately. A bike company asking for more tariffs. Kind of strange, right?
I'm going to facepalm.
I'm going to facepalm on that one. Thank you. He's doing that for both of us. So Guardian Bikes calls for steel and aluminum tariffs on imported bikes. People for Bikes adamantly opposes. So here's a little...
Why?
I don't know. Yeah. So a little bit more information here. So Guardian is a DTC company that makes kids bikes in Indiana. You may have actually caught them on Shark Tank a few years back. The company filed a comment with the Bureau of Industry and Security at the Department of Commerce. The company wants 50% tariffs to be applied to all imported steel and aluminum components in bicycles and e-bikes to encourage domestic manufacturing. Their statement said a scaled domestic supply chain for bicycles will spur demand for domestic steel and aluminum, as well as metal fabrication, welding tool and die making skills necessary for reindustrializing the nation. Many existing machine shops and component suppliers currently serving the U.S. automotive industry as well are well positioned to transition into manufacturing precise high volume metal fabrication, welding, and component production could be leveraged to rapidly scale domestic bicycle component manufacturing. So
there's a lot.
There was a lot in there, but it's basically, so depending on how tariffs are interpreted and applied, this could add small amounts of cost based on the value of only the steel and aluminum material included in the bike components, calculated by weight. Mm-hmm. Or it could add hundreds of dollars to the cost of components themselves is taxed instead. So this would be in addition to all of the other tariffs that have happened that we have discussed at length here on the show. All of the Trump administration reciprocal tariffs, which affect nearly all countries to varying degrees, and the Section 301 tariffs, which affect Chinese imports at the rate of currently 25%. So the proposal is currently in a 2-week comment period. Now, People for Bikes is currently urging its members and anyone in the industry to respond and oppose the proposal by October 21st. They have assembled a template letter that brands can help to help brands explain how the tariffs could impact their business. Spoiler alert, it would be a very devastating thing if it went through. So the organization sent out an email saying People for Bikes will submit comments in opposition of these 2 requests and work with allies to do the same. But we need your help if we are to have a reasonable chance of stopping these new and crushing tariffs. And you can help. We will actually leave a link in the description down below where you can go and weigh in as well. John, this was absolutely bonkers when I read it. So just a little bit of context here. This is kind of, to me, the equivalent of building a bomb shelter in your backyard and then just saying, yeah, let's let the missiles fly. It's like all of your neighbors are going to be devastated if they don't have it. So as we've talked about tariffs in the past, it's always kind of been like look, we don't like them going into effect immediately because there just wasn't enough domestic manufacturing to suddenly have all that stuff happen here stateside.
Right.
If there's a 5-10 year, however long of a plan to get that up and running, that's a different conversation. But again, brands have been hurting as these tariffs have gone into effect. And even though Guardian Bikes set up manufacturing here, which great, by the way, that's awesome.
Yes.
But they can't really meet the demand for all bikes in the US. People for Bikes actually did a good job explaining between 9 and I think 18 million bikes are sold per year here in the US, and Guardian can't fulfill all those demands. So this is just kind of imposing tariffs on everybody but Guardian pretty much.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Kind of crazy. Yeah. So
I mean, not only does this hurt brands, but it makes e-bikes far less accessible to consumers. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw prices go up by generally $100 or $200 last June because of the Section 301 tariffs. Mm-hmm. We've seen prices rise again by sometimes hundreds of dollars this year with all of the reciprocal tariffs. Brands have been scrambling to try to find new manufacturing sources. Mm-hmm. This has that potential to jack things up even more, which is just not it's not good for anyone.
Not great at all. And I actually really like how Bicycle Retailer in one of their articles actually outlined this. They kind of put together a couple of examples of different ways that tariff could impact. So they drew up like scenarios if a bike was coming from China or coming from Taiwan. Basically, with all the stacking different tariffs, a $1,000 e-bike, for example, the brand could be on the hook to pay a tariff between $570 or $1,120 to bring that $1,000 e-bike in. So that is more than the
potentially doubling the cost.
Doubling the cost of the e-bike. So again, that to us was just kind of like, whoa, kind of crazy. And if you agree with, check out that form filled down below and weigh in and let people know about it.
Yes, please. But moving on.
Shifting gears to something a little less dramatic.
Yeah.
A little bit more cool. John actually got to sit down with the owner of Super73 this week.
Yeah, so he's one of two founders. His name is Michael Cannavo. He is currently the chief marketing officer there. And so he had actually reached out after we mentioned Super73 on the show last week. We touched on a teaser that they put out on Instagram where they showed basically like the silhouette of a new e-bike. And there's some speculation around that, not a whole lot of details. So I got all the details, which is very cool. We're going to run through all that stuff here. So the new e-bike is called the MZFT, possibly the Misfit, depending on how you interpret that. It's kind of a mini bike style e-bike. Still follows the brand's typical moto styling. This one, you know, some signs point that it's kind of being marketed towards youth, but you know, in talking with Michael yesterday, he said they're actually kind of targeting pretty much everybody out there. This, you know, bike is designed for kids and adults alike, motorcycle enthusiasts, tech nerds, you know, the gamut.
Not putting a limit on it, basically. Anyone can enjoy if they are digging the ride.
Exactly, and that was kind of an interesting thing that we touched on was the sort of reinvention of Super73. So he kind of explained that, you know, within the past couple of years, the company was actually in pretty dire straits. Between Michael and the other founder, the company had kind of gone in a direction where they were just blowing through a ton of money and not really making that up in sales. So he really helped to reorganize the company, sort of streamline the production. He said that they actually cut operational costs by 60%. In my notes, I actually put $60. That is not true. It's 60%.
It was more than $60. Yeah. Not much of a brag on that one.
Yeah. But, you know, he wanted the sort of reinvigoration of the brand to really get back to their roots, to really innovate things. They also wanted to target reducing the cost of their e-bikes. So that was partially in the manufacturing side of things, like reducing the number of parts or sharing multiple parts between things, making it easier for things to be replaced more often, but also just making their bikes more accessible. They still do want to have like a premium tier of e-bikes, but they want to bring things down. And that's kind of where the MZFT comes in. So this bike is going to be priced right around $2,000 from what he was telling us yesterday. Now, one interesting feature here that kind of relates to that reinvention of the brand, you know, for a while, Super73 really had the reputation of being, you know, super fast, super powerful, and they're trying to really shift that. So this bike is a class 1 and 2 e-bike, so it's limited to 20 miles per hour. It doesn't connect to an app. You cannot increase that speed. Okay. And so they're really targeting
buying into the class system. Then.
Exactly, cool. Yeah, and they're actually working with schools and law enforcement to teach like safety classes and any locations where people need to get permits for their bikes, they're kind of helping them out with that. But again, details of this bike specifically, it is, like I said, sort of a mini style e-bike. It only has a 36-inch wheelbase. It's got a rigid frame and fork. It has mag wheels that also have like a through axle design. The rear wheel hub motor is designed to be removed easily. There is a 52 volt, 500 watt motor, and we didn't get specifics on the torque, but Michael was saying that it's incredibly torquey, that you're actually able to maintain and sometimes increase your speed going uphill. Cool. And then it comes with a single 520 watt hour battery, but there's like sort of a modular system here. There's a storage compartment that is lockable, where the battery slots in, and you can actually fit a second battery in there. So if you want to double your range, you can get a second one. And then the batteries are also potted as well. So they're encased in resin for fire safety.
We've been hoping to see more of that, so that's awesome.
Definitely. And then we've got 2-piston hydraulic disc brakes. We have, let's see, the fit range is 4'6" to 5'11", and then we've got a 250-pound payload capacity. There's kind of two colors to start, but there's some sort of premium tier stuff on the way. He actually mentioned like Porsche inspired color schemes, so those will be coming next year. And then the bikes are going to be available online by November 10th, and then available for in-store purchase on November 8th. So pretty exciting. I mean, there was a really awesome opportunity to actually speak with someone in that position, and especially someone who is a fan of the show.
Yeah.
We get that a lot. So, Michael, if you're out there watching, appreciate you. Thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really kind of intrigued by the concept of this bike because there is someone who rides around my neighborhood on a Sur-Ron and is almost always on the sidewalk and stuff like that. So if teens kind of have a still fun, cool, awesome alternative, a little bit more class compliant, a little bit more like safe and stuff like that, I am all for it. We could use more of that. And if they found ways to make their product even more affordable, that could potentially get it in the hands of more of those teenagers. So it seems really promising. And the purple color on that model that we saw is pretty sweet.
It does look very cool. Yeah, kind of a plum color.
Whatever it is, I'm digging it. But we got news on another new bike as well. This one comes from Heybike. It's their new Helio F, which has a pretty cool retro look to it on a folder. Don't see that very often.
Yeah.
But, so some facts about this bike. It is designed to be lightweight. It's 18 kilograms or about 40 pounds. So again, it has that retro style frame in red or green, but there are also 3 colorful and unique limited artist editions from artists in the Netherlands, the UK, and Italy.
Yep.
The bike has a fast folding and locking patented design. Some of the other specs include a 250 watt rear hub motor, which has 40 Newton meters of torque, 360 watt hour seat post battery, 80 to 120 kilometers or 50-75 mile range, 25 kilometer or 15.5 mile per hour top speed. This is intended for the Euro crowd if we haven't picked up on that one quite yet. 8-speed Shimano Altus drivetrain, Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, Schwalbe Billy Bonkers tires. I love how Schwalbe names their tires.
It's so good. Yeah.
A payload capacity of 275 pounds or 125 kilos. Includes a smart tag for location tracking. A little extra security is always good. So again, it seems primed for the EU market right now, but seems to be available in the US as well for $12.99 standard or $13.99 for those limited edition artist colors. So again, this is just really fun looking bike. I'm a fan of retro styling, which doesn't really apply to folders. Totally.
Usually, yeah. I feel like some of the older Blix models were...
Blix kind of had that down, and Brompton's again, its own style classic thing. But I think most people conceptualize folders, at least here in the States, as something a little bit more modern times.
Definitely.
So this super retro look to it, I really like a lot. Be very interested to test this bike out when it's available.
Yeah, this is definitely a different visual style for Heybike too. I mean, we've seen them kind of grow by leaps and bounds this year, and this seems to be another notch in the belt. So
absolutely, but not the only folder we're going to be talking about today, John.
That is true. We have a super lightweight new model from Brompton. So this is what they're calling their lightest ever e-bike, and it's the biggest launch in 50 years. So this is the Lectric T Line, and in that case, the T stands for titanium. So they had a non-electric T Line previously, but now they've added a motor, and in fact, that's actually a new drive system that we'll talk about here. But this bike is at least advertised to weigh 14.1 kilograms, which works out to about 31 pounds with the battery, or 11.2 kilograms, which is under 25 pounds without the battery. And then it has that new drive system is torque sensing, and it's called the E-Motique. And that motor first appeared on the Electric G Line earlier this year. That's their gravel folding bike. But now that same motor is going to appear on the T Line and the Electric C and P Line models. So the C, P, and T line will have 24 Newton meters of torque, but the G line is a little bit more just because it's sort of off-road friendly, gets 30 Newton meters there. And then it also has a start assist mode just to help get you going if you're at a stoplight and give you a little extra power on hills. So it shares the same battery size as other Brompton models. It's got a 345 watt hour battery. And on this bike, they claim a range of 90 kilometers, which works out to about 56 miles. And then it also pairs with the Brompton Electric app. So that can give you over-the-air updates, and they have this sort of smart range system that sounds pretty interesting. So it says that it learns your riding style over the first 100 kilometers, and then basically adapts its output of range estimates every 6 kilometers after that. And it
kind of like dialing in, syncing to your cadence a little bit.
Something like that. How how much power you typically use, how you pedal, that sort of thing.
Sweet.
But the Electric T Line both has US and EU safety certifications, so it meets the UL 2849 standard here and the EN 15194 standard in Europe. Comes with the brand's 3-year warranty, and price in US dollars is yet to be announced, but over in the across the pond here, we've got 5,799 pounds or 6,799 euros. And that's going to be available for pre-order on October 21st and in-store purchase on October 28th. So some cool stuff coming up. Yeah.
I was like, we always love to see more Brompton gear. Very fun, very interesting bikes, very unique. So, hey, the more the merrier. I'd happily try out the titanium one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really liked the Lectric C line that we got a hold of last year. I mean, it's just also super cool to have a brand that actually builds their bikes by hand. In Britain. That's incredible.
Yeah, very rare. We talked about them getting a new manufacturing plant earlier this year, I believe. So
absolutely.
Kind of cool to see that, setting up a new shop and working on some new stuff, bringing electric motors to the T Line.
And that new motor sounds pretty interesting too.
Absolutely. All right. So our last headline is Bafang's 2026 motors to include anti-theft features. So Bafang has collaborated with an IoT company called Comodule to develop new security features. New motors will pair with an app and have an electronic motor lock feature. When the connected phone goes out of range, the lock will automatically engage. So it has both for mid-drives and hub motors. On the mid-drive, the system prevents the drivetrain from moving. On hub motors, the system stops the wheel from turning, period. The locks will remain engaged if the electronic IoT module is removed, and new systems will also have motion detection and alarm systems and will notify the paired phone if unusual activity is detected. So OTA updates are now available, and the new systems can also provide a wide range of ride data and diagnostics. So whether these features are baked in or optional is uncertain, but a quote from Comodule's chief product officer, Sten Sumalier, I hope I'm saying that right, suggests the latter. Open ecosystems are the key to transforming e-bikes into smart bikes. They unlock digital rider experiences, new business models, and give OEMs true freedom of choice over their products and services that they offer. So Bafang obviously is one of the, if not the largest maker of e-bike motors on the whole planet.
Yep.
So more features, whether optional or like baked in, hey, we're all for it. Bring it on. Kind of happy to see this. We've been very impressed with a whole wave of bikes this year that we've tested out that have included some things like this. Aventon's ACU, of course, had that. We've seen some similar things like with Autopia and Lectric. We're getting more and more security features, locking features, and it makes sense. I mean, e-bikes, they're not cheap commodities, so more security, we're all for it.
Especially if it's built in. I mean, there's some very good locks out there, but if you buy an e-bike, it's nice that it just includes something right out of the box.
I kind of say it on any bike I review with this stuff. It's like, yeah, hey, I'm not saying like ditch the chain lock, U-lock or whatever, but at the same time, like if you want to make something really inconvenient to steal, like try disabling a 70-pound bike from being able to like have the motor on. It's going to make it very unappealing.
Totally, yeah. And what you mentioned about the Aventon ACU equipped e-bikes, like that's exactly where my mind went with this. Those things are, some incredible features on $2,000 or sub $2,000 bikes. So, if this makes those things more widespread and accessible, I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, all for it. So that's going to do it for this week's headlines, and we're going to jump next into our 1-year anniversary celebrations.
That's right. Stick around. All right, so now we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to do a trivia game here between Griffin and I, pitting our e-bike knowledge head to head. Again, this is something new. We're going to try it out, so feel free to let us know what you think of it, if we should keep this section or ditch it.
It's the 1-year episode. We're going to change things up, try some new stuff, and as always, we're open to audience feedback. If you like it, cool, let us know. If you could do without, let us know that too.
Griffin, I just said that.
Well, I wanted to say it too, okay? I feel left out. On with the trivia, though. Christina's got it queued up, ready to go.
Very good.
Christina, what is question number 1?
All right, question number 1.
Secret over here.
What year was the direct drive rear hub motor invented? A, 1993, B, 1987, C, 1895, or D, 2001?
Squeaky marker. Still squeaky.
Okay.
Reveal your answers. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, you wrote yours upside down.
I wrote
That's
mine
smart.
upside down.
Genius.
I'm just flipping it up.
You're both wrong.
What?
It is C, 1895.
I had a sneaking suspicion. That's insane.
I knew like e-bikes were like first a thing in like the 1800s, but I didn't know it was the direct drive. That was what was throwing me off.
See, he told me
That's
the answer
pretty
was
intense.
1985, which is 1895 just transposed.
see what you're...
So I was like, that
Confusion.
doesn't.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
keep that here.
Okay, you're both losers so far. Let's go.
Where's your both losers so far? Nothing's changed from my normal life.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Which e-bike has a faster throttle time on our Devil's Backbone hill test? A, the Nomad 2, or B, the Aventon Adventure 3?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think they're actually going to be close, but... Okay, ready.
All right, answers in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
You guys are both right.
Yeah.
The Adventure 3 is 109 seconds. The Nomad 2 is 111 seconds.
Oh, wow. That's closer than I expected.
That
actually.
is a lot closer.
Okay, yeah, I am doing this right. I'm trying to figure out the writing backwards thing. My brain doesn't work that way naturally.
This one might be trickier for that because it's an open-ended question. So.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so number 3 is how many Newton meters of torque does the Ride 1-Up Roadster V3 have?
Griffin gets an advantage here because it was his review.
Oh, nope, that is not how you write that number upside down.
I'm going to say...
I hope that looks correct when I flip it.
Okay, yes. See, you're having trouble too.
On your mark, get set,
Go.
Go.
It's not right.
Does that look like a 50?
It's a backwards 5.
Give it a shot. That's 50 for the record.
Griffin is right. It's 50 Newton meters.
Even if it's not readable.
That was
Well,
great.
all right.
That was great.
Rude.
I hope that it's
I get
not.
extra points for trying to write upside down and
That's-
flip in dramatic
Yes.
fashion.
Okay, question number 4. Which electric bike has our current longest max power range test?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Which electric bike has our current longest max power range test?
Ooh.
So which one has gone the farthest, the fastest?
Max power.
Ooh, that is hard because it's max power. I know this answer for Min.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Or at least I know like the top 3 like candidates.
Okay. I'm gonna guess.
This one I'm not writing upside down. I ain't that good. It wasn't that good last time.
I mean, the 0 was right.
The 0 was right. I can do that one upside down.
Okay,
'Kay.
this is a long one. But
All right, ready, go.
Go.
Rambless? What is
The Aventon
the
Rambless.
Rambless?
What
And what
is-
is the Turbo V
Specialized
Turbo
Turbo
Vado? No, you guys are both wrong.
Rude.
What was
Okay.
It is the Igo Discovery Rosemont LS.
I
Really?
know. Darn it.
Okay.
Yep.
Would not
He
have
doesn't say
guessed
how
that.
many. He didn't say how many, but just that was the right one.
Okay, the Rambless I know, like the Min test is one of like the longest we've ever had. So
Yeah.
I was like, Max would probably good too. I knew that to be a mid-drive though.
All right, so this is a
That makes
follow-up.
sense.
This is a follow-up question to that one.
Okay,
Oh.
I have a question. Are you keeping track of who has what score?
I'm winning 2-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm competitive. I
Okay.
know. It's in there.
Good.
Okay, so this is a follow-up to the one, the Rosemont LS, the Discovery
Okay.
Rosemont LS.
Okay.
What was the mileage of that max range test? We'll give a point to whoever has it the closest this time.
Okay. Price is Right scenarios here.
Yeah, but you can't go over. I'm just
Gotcha.
kidding.
Okay. Oh, whoops. I wrote this the normal way. Oh, well. That's fine.
And reveal.
I don't know how to split the difference here. I think it's going to be Griffin.
Oh, no.
It's 55.83.
I think that is also, yeah, that's Griffin.
Yeah, I was like, I'm trying to-
85.6. I don't know.
On a max
Yeah.
test?
I know, but
I was like, that's pretty good.
It wasn't a triple battery
Wasn't it
setup.
but it did exceed the 100 mark on Min.
All right,
I don't
so
know.
I'm going to keep the scoreboard right here. That is Griffin. 1, 2, 3. John. How many is it,
One.
How
Thank
many,
you.
There you
John?
go. Okay.
All right, guys,
rude.
come on. Leave some comments.
Come on, John.
I need some help.
You got two more.
Let's go.
You can tie him.
Okay.
All right, although I think you'll both get this one. Who is the founder of Rad Power Bikes?
Spelling cannot be held against me.
Yes, it is.
What?
Yes. I will get it right.
To be fair, I have misspelled my own name before, so if I can't get someone else's name, that cannot be held against me.
Sounds like a personal
I
problem.
absolutely
On your
believe
mark,
that.
get set, Mike Radenbaugh.
Mike Radenbaugh.
Yep.
Did you do it
Okay.
upside down?
I did.
You cheated.
No,
You
I didn't
faced
do
it and
that.
rotated it. That is not the same thing. Okay.
2-4. Griffin technically wins unavoidably, but
That it?
There's one more.
yeah.
Uno mas.
Okay.
How many people in the United States rode an e-bike at least one time in 2024? Oh, sorry, there's multiple choice.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I was
saying
like,
that's
this is
Come
going
up
to be
with a number.
a shot in the dark.
It's very open-ended. Yeah.
A, 37 million, B, 112 million, C, 21 million, or D, 82 million. Ooh. So 37, 112, 21, or 82.
Okay. I think we're gonna.
On your mark, get set, flip it. D.
Also D.
Oh, no, you're both wrong. It's B, 112 million.
I almost
Awesome.
guessed that.
So I wanted to guess that, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's the number I want it to be. It's
Yeah.
the biggest, but I
Same.
don't know. All right. Okay.
Well, cool.
Not bad. 4-2.
Griffin
you-
gets to wear the Electric Bike Report helmet in next week's trivia game.
Victory helmet. That's what I'm talking about. How did you guys do? Let us know in the comments down below how many you guys got correct.
Yeah.
And again, let us know if you want to keep the trivia coming. We can add this section and do it every week.
Again, this is episode 53 of the Weekly Recharge. So thanks for joining us for our 1-year celebration. We've got a lot of things to talk about here, some stats, some favorite moments.
I was gonna say 1 year, always good to like reflect a little bit. So we pulled up some interesting data from the like everything that's gone down on YouTube and on the website in the last year. So we have published 201 different things of content on YouTube since we launched the first episode of the Weekly Recharge.
That's insane.
159 of those are long form videos, which are hard and time consuming to make. So hopefully you've enjoyed getting to see those. And then as a channel, we're actually nearing 1,000 bits of content published on YouTube as a collective. So
That's wild.
quite the milestone we're
Yeah.
rolling up on there. Now, in that time over the past year, we have had 20,000 new subscribers. So thank you so much for following along. That is incredible growth. As a matter of fact, we actually just hit our 15-year anniversary as a channel. The first video went live on October 12th of 2010. So getting 20,000 new subscribers in the last year, that is like a huge explosion of growth.
Yes, it is.
So again, thank you so much for subscribing and following along. In that time, we've gotten 4 million views over the last year, which is 17.5% of the total views of the channel. We've also had millions and millions of viewers and people over on the website as well. So again, just couldn't be like happier with just some of that engagement we're getting from you guys. So thank you so much.
We also got a play button.
We also got
which
the
is
play button, Mike. We hit the
phenomenal.
100,000 subscriber mark, which was
Yeah.
awesome. Our most watched episode of the Weekly Recharge. John, care to guess? Some bonus trivia?
It's got to be something with like tariffs or something.
No, sir.
No?
It was
No.
episode 24 titled, What's Going On with Ride One Up? And the answer to that was nothing. They're great. We talked about some people who were a little bit worried about it. It's been quiet on the Ride One Up front. And
They were just working on some new stuff.
They were
behind the
consolidating
scenes.
models. They had like new stuff we talked about like right after that. So most watched episode we've had so far. Now the number of miles we have ridden on bikes in the last year, roughly 1 kajillion. Okay, so I tried to go add those up. That was really hard, but it's just like thousands and thousands of miles. I guarantee you that between official range testing and all the other like testing that we do on these
And
bikes.
that's not just Griffin and I.
That is
that's
not
our
just
whole
us. That is a
team. Yeah.
group collective effort. We'll give shout outs to everyone here in a little bit as well. So looking back on episode 1 specifically, I looked at some of the things we talked about there. We talked about the debut of the Turbo Votto SL2, which we also reviewed. We talked about the national parks. Found e-bike inclusion doesn't significantly impact trails. Moab just this week opened up 200 miles of trails. So again, more places becoming accessible. E-bikes don't destroy them. That is awesome. We also talked about Juice going bankrupt and selling to a private auction to a mystery bidder, which we now know was Levi
Lectric.
and Robbie, the owners of Lectric. They actually bought up Juice and are currently in the process of reviving that brand. My favorite question from that episode was, so why haven't we reviewed fill in the blank bike yet? And just kind of like we answered in that episode, we're trying. We're going to try and review every bike we can get our hands on. And we always appreciate you telling us what bikes you're interested in, which ones you want to see us get in, and helping us, kind of nudge the brands a little bit, make sure we do get those in. Again, we're going to test them all, Pokemon style. Gotta catch them all.
We actually just got 2 in the door this morning. We'll talk more about that later, so stick around to find out more information. But I wanted to share one of my favorite questions, and this is, we get that a lot.
Yes, we do.
as probably one or two a week. Why haven't you reviewed whatever bike? One of the things that I really appreciate from you guys is when you challenge us. We have this platform where we get to chat with you and interact and respond to things that we don't normally cover in our reviews. So, we try to take a pretty balanced approach to how we handle reviews and just talk about e-bikes in general. And it's nice to be able to give you our side of things, explain a little bit more about how we work and why we work that way. So
yeah, absolutely.
Pretty cool.
I agree with that. And so what are some of your other favorite moments, John, besides the challenging questions?
Favorite moments here. I did a little research and wrote a couple things down. So back in episode 32 of the show, Griffin and I were referred to as peanut butter and jelly, which...
Thanks.
Bring it in.
We go together so well.
That's right. Also on episode 39, I think one of my personal favorite, funniest, most embarrassing moments, I was talking about a story about Orbea and coming off of a person related to that story in France who had a fairly complicated name. I then went to talk about Orbea's CEO, whose name is Daniel, and I said, this name is much easier to pronounce, and I said Danielle, unfortunately, so I apologize. Orbea's CEO, whose name is much easier to pronounce, Daniel Martinez. Wow.
Is it though? Is it, John?
Daniel Martinez, I apologize.
It's like the French form of Daniel, right?
Daniel.
Yeah, you're just stuck on the French thing. That's fine.
Something like that. But then, just I guess on a more serious note, seriously, again, thank you for helping us get to 100K. And that play button, it just really makes a big deal to me and Griffin here, I know personally. So thank you again. Yeah, those are some of my favorite moments. What about you?
So a couple of ones. I don't have specific episodes to shout out per se, but I do have the memories of them. One of them is actually it's kind of a one we've had several times. I genuinely love, we've shared this in Rider of the Week several times, the stories of people who have just kind of found more freedom or a second cycling life because of e-bikes.
Sure. Yep.
They are fun. They are good times. They are recreation. They're all that thing. But I do kind of just have that soft spot for people who are just hey, I got a part of my life back because of e-bikes. There really is some magic to them, just helping people move around who would otherwise not be able to go out and ride. If you're down, bummed, depressed, go take a bike ride. Being outside and riding around is always good for the soul.
Can attest that.
So love all of those stories that we've been able to share. And then actually one of my favorite moments was celebrating him. We actually had a special celebration for John when he crossed the 100 video mark.
That was really cool.
We don't pull off surprises nearly often enough in life. And that was a genuine surprise that John did not see coming. And those are always just really fun to be a part of. So that was actually one of my favorite moments.
Thanks, Griffin.
For sure.
But that is not all we have for you to celebrate our 1 year anniversary. So we way back, I think in episode 1, threw out the idea of merch and you guys responded and said that you were interested. So it's been a long road getting here, but we are finally approaching the point at which we will be offering merch. So number 1, we've been working with a designer. We have a whole bunch of options. There's actually 21 currently in the works. Some of them are the same design in both black and white shirts, but you can actually vote on which ones you like so that we know which ones you want to have offered. You can check out the link in the description. There's a form there, a Google form that you can use to vote on your favorite designs, and then some of those will make it to production. We are actually going to have a giveaway later in this episode, so stick around for that.
Make sure you stay tuned for that.
But then we talked way back when about merch being a way to kind of give back to you guys for all that you do for us. So every week in this show, we highlight a rider of the week. And we want to actually go back through all of the riders that we've highlighted and give you guys a t-shirt once we get those designs finalized. But we are going to need your contact information. So if you have been announced, there's you message us. There's another form that we'll link to in the description below. And, you can give us your information, your shirt size, your mailing address, what episode you were featured on, so we can kind of verify things. Otherwise, we're going to end up with, a long list of people wanting t-shirts. But yeah, so we would love to be able to send you a shirt and again, just say thank you for helping us out. But Griffin, here's to another year.
Here's to another year.
All right.
All right, so we've got some gear and accessories to talk about today. Actually, 2 bits of it. We're going to be talking about the brand Revere. John, tell us a little bit more about these glasses we got up here.
Revo Ray, Revo Ray, something like that. I don't know. So we have two models here to talk about that they sent to us. We have the Brisk Y1 and the Lumo over here. So these are two new models from the brand. We'll talk about the Brisk first. So this is a nice wraparound style. It comes in a whopping 16 color options with different lens options as well as pricing. So depending on what lens you get, what color combination, you're looking at a list price of between $41 and $75. You've got so polarized is sort of the base level that just reduces glare. You have high contrast that is just exactly what it says, high contrast, best for high speeds and harsh weather conditions. And then we have photochromic, so that is kind of like the transition lenses where depending on the light it's going to get clear or darker. So the high contrast lenses, which is what we have here, that includes a bonus clear lens that you can swap out, and this one weighs 33 grams. But then over on the Lumo side, so these are just photochromic, so they're a little bit more premium. There's some metallic accents there. There are 3 color options. The list price for those is $100, and they weigh 34.5 grams. Excuse me. And ours came with a really cool like frame bag storage pouch thing that you can strap on and either use for other
some Velcro loops there and little tidy place to keep them. So
you have a little clip.
If you're wearing your helmet, you can't put them on your head, so you gotta put them somewhere.
That's right. Do you want to be a model, Griffin? Do you want to show these off?
I'm always a model, John. Have you not seen me in the photos on the website?
I have. Yes,
it's on my resume. I model.
Look at that. Look at that handsome fella.
Look at that. Look at it.
But there is also a deal going. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a couple other things. So both of these, they meet UV 400 standards, which block UVA and UVB rays. They both come with silicone anti-slip nose pads, and they are scratch resistant. But then, there's a deal going on right now that if you buy 2, you get 20% off. So if you want to look like this guy, check those out.
That's a bad way to set these things up. But if you do need some glasses, these are worth looking into. Seem pretty nice to me. We're going to be trying them out more moving forward.
Yep.
One thing I do like to remind people about when it comes to the polarized lenses, sometimes for e-bikers where you've got the fancy fun displays and screens and stuff like that, sometimes they become a little bit harder to see. But other than that, I do usually love the wraparound style. Really good for just kind of keeping stuff out of your face out on the ride. So check these out. We'll leave a link down in the description down below.
That's right. All right, it's time for our weekly peek behind the curtain at what we have in the works here at Electric Bike Report. So as far as things that we have received for testing, we have a really cool touring e-bike from a brand called Cicada. It was made in partnership with Soul Fitness. So we're looking forward to that.
Owned by the same brand or something like that, yeah.
I got a first look at that the other day, and it's got a super crazy long cargo rack. I'm pretty intrigued by what's going on there. So that's all I know about it right now.
Good to know. Load up for touring adventures. Other than that, we do have one bike that we got in, which I'm pretty sure is under embargo, so I'm just going to be mum's the word on that one for now. But as always, make sure you're subscribed, stay tuned. As we are trying to bring you the most first to look reviews and all that stuff that we possibly can. So looks exciting. We'll see kind of how that unfolds. But John had a trike to talk about.
That's right. Yeah, we've been doing quite a few trikes this year. A lot of releases.
25 years the trike.
This is not a brand new model. It's one that we've actually taken a look at years ago. But since we've changed up our review process, we've been running through a lot of new things, existing things from Evelo in a new fashion. So this is the Evelo Compass trike. This is the one and only mid-drive e-trike that we have tested and reviewed. Evelo is known as a premium brand, making very high quality products, and this one is right up there with everything else. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but Evelo has one of the best warranties in the industry, 4 years and 20,000 miles. So, if you're looking for a high quality, high end, very long lasting and reliable trike, definitely check that one out, and be sure you're subscribed, excuse me, as I fumble my words, so that you can check out all of our new content.
All right, each week we like to take a look at a trail system or just like a cycling infrastructure kind of town or something like that. But John, which of those are we getting this week?
Well, partner, we're going here to Nebraska.
You're just embracing it. I
really am.
So much.
Yeah,
cool.
This is called the Cowboy Recreation and Nature Trail.
Yeehaw!
I'm not going to do this the whole time.
Ride a e-bike.
Ride a e-bike. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey,
Griffin.
that's what I'm here for.
So anyway, this is a in the works trail. It will hopefully eventually be 317 miles in total. Right now, there are a couple sections that are a bit shorter, that are unconnected, but it runs across most of northeastern Nebraska. So the longest section connects Norfolk to Valentine and runs through about 18 cities, and that is 190 miles. But then there's another short section that's further west of that between Rushville and Gordon, and that's only about 15 miles. So if they meet and get completed for that whole 317-mile section, they would continue to Chadron, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but basically the whole route will follow the former corridor of the Chicago and Northwestern Railway, which was called the Cowboy Line. So that was where that came from. Yeah. So use of that rail line stopped back in the 90s, and then a group called the Rails to Trails Conservancy that we've talked about quite a bit on this show, they actually bought it and then donated it to the state of Nebraska to be turned into this trail. And then it was actually listed as a national recreation trail and part of the National Trails System back in 2001. So looking at what's actually going on here, you've got most of the route being crushed gravel. And there are a couple of concrete sections that are primarily in the towns that it runs through along the way. And most of those towns are about 10 to 15 miles apart. But, there are accommodations along the way within each of those towns, places to stop, get food, rest, get water, hit the restroom, that sort of thing. There are also over 200 railroad bridges along the whole route that include wood and steel trestles. Mm-hmm. There's some pretty incredible ones. One's like a quarter-mile long, and it's like 150 feet off the ground. That one runs over the Niobrara River.
Oh, yeah.
But then you're also passing through those small towns. You've got prairies, and then there's some wetlands in the Sandhill country, and then, of course, the sort of riparian sections around the Niobrara River, however that's said. I'm not from Nebraska, sorry. Anyway, there are also some historic buildings along the way. There's some train depots and grist mills. And then you've got tons of wildlife that you can see, including rabbits, squirrels, pheasants, quail, songbirds, bald eagles, turkey vultures, monarch butterflies, and more. I would imagine some stuff along the river as well. And then that river is a pretty cool place. You get tubing, rafting, and kayaking opportunities there. But then another attraction is the Long Pine State Recreation Area. And there's trout fishing. You've got camping opportunities there. You can do some archery, hiking, that sort of thing. Looks like a really cool trail. Obviously, that's a ton of mileage that you can cover if you do choose to do that. The trail caters to hikers, runners, cyclists, and pedestrians. I believe there's also a separate section that is open to equestrians as well. But yeah, and I didn't see anything specifically related to e-bikes, but I'm kind of assuming based on previous research here on the show that, if you're pedaling and going up to 20 miles per hour, so if that's a class 1 e-bike, you're probably fine.
That's kind of been the thing we've discovered as we've done trail systems for one whole year now. More often than not, class 1, and you're fine. So might not be a hard rule for everywhere, but more often than not, for sure.
Yeah.
Like always, love discovering things that I don't know anything about. Nebraska, sorry, I don't know too much about your state, but this is just really gorgeous photos that I'm seeing here on traillink.com. And as always, I'm still such a sucker for bridges. So like 200 of them is awesome. I can't even explain or rationalize it. It's just it's like that one thing I'm a sucker for. I'm like, ooh, it's a bridge. I need to take a picture.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I don't know if I've got 3 kids now and I'm just fully in my dad era where it's certain things I just feel the urge to stop and I gotta take a picture. It's just what I'm at with bridges. So would love to try this out. Go hunting for all 200 of them. It's just an insane number. That's pretty awesome. So
seriously.
Cool little hidden gem.
And there were also, there's a website that I found that kind of covered a bunch of festivals that happen in all these little towns throughout various times of the year. So there's tons to see and do here. I mean, this could make for a, month-long vacation getaway thing if you wanted it to be. But if you have anything in your area that you want us to highlight in this segment, make sure you let us know down in the comment section, or as always, that email address, questions@electricbikereport.com.
Thanks, partners. All right, now it is time for John and I's favorite section. That is questions and comments from you, our audience, as pulled from YouTube and the website. Let's dive right in with a question on the Lectric Triker review on YouTube from Daniel Becker 9836, who says, when you say a respectable wheel width, what is it in inches? I need any trike I get to fit through the front door to my apartment unit. This Triker looks to be the best so far, even with its higher price at $23.99.
So yeah, I actually I did that review, so I had to go back to the Triker and actually measure. We typically do measure like on center of the rear wheels just to get an idea of things, but with tires and fenders and that sort of thing, that was actually a little bit wider than what I had noted. So the full width there is right around 28 inches, which actually makes that trike one of the easiest to fit through a door that we've tested. Just for comparison here, the Avelo Compass that just went live that I mentioned a few minutes ago is the narrowest that we've seen so far, and the total width of that trike is about 27.5. So not a big difference there, but something worth noting. But then the widest is the Rad trike from Rad Power Bikes, and they actually designed that to sort of maximize the standard door width.
Yeah, I was like, that was 100% intentional, because I know that when we talked to them about it, they said they wanted it to be as wide and as stable as possible while also fitting through your average doorway anywhere in America. So I guess it's kind of like a word for any like trike user. As long as it's under 33 inches, you're typically good for your average doorway.
Typically.
Yeah. You don't want to be tipping.
We'll get in there later.
That's
but
right.
The Rad trike is about 33 inches, which does help prevent that from tipping. But yeah, if you didn't pick up on that in the Triker review, that one is also super stable, even though it is on the narrower side. Yep. So moving on, though, to a question from the Mach Wheel Basalt 2.0 review on YouTube. This comes to us from MHC6919. Why doesn't anyone mention warranty duration and customer service issues?
So that is a fair question. This actually ties back into a little bit of some stuff we talked about last week, but let me just kind of give you the lowdown there. So most brands offer between a 1 and 2 year warranty. That is the pretty standard one. Again, that's from reputable brands. Every now and then when someone's asking me about an Amazon or Alibaba bike, sometimes they don't have any warranty information posted. One of the reasons we generally steer you away from them.
For sure.
But warranty details are for sure important. But again, with kind of like that standard 1 to 2 year baked in, we typically only shout it out if it goes above and beyond. That can like come down to like different factors, price being one of them. Premium e-bikes, for example, typically have greater warranties. So a couple brands with notable warranties we figured we'd shout out here. So Pedigo actually has a 5-year warranty, including anti-theft protection and a lifetime warranty on the frame. So really good coverage there. Evelo, as John hinted earlier, they actually have one of the best warranties as well. 4 years, 20,000 mile warranty against manufacturing defects on frame, battery, motor, controller, and display. That even extends to like their NVLO drive systems that they use, which is kind of cool. Talked with them on a review recently, and they said even though NVLO themselves don't have a warranty going that long, that it's like we've used these parts and systems for years and we know they go further than that, so we are willing to actually extend the warranty basically and include that in the 4 year 20,000 mile. So
that's incredible.
A lot of like confidence there. Yeah, some really cool stuff there. Brompton, 7-year unlimited mileage warranty against manufacturing and material defects on the main frame components, a 2-year warranty on the non-wearing parts. Electrical has a 2-year warranty that can extend to 3 years by registering your bike. And then final one we'll talk about here is Turn, which has a 5-year warranty that can be extended to 10 years upon signing up for Turn Care and registering your bike, and 10-year for the frame, stem, handlebar, and fork. 1 year on all other parts, including those that are Turn or Biologic branded. Turn also promises that replacement parts will be available for a period of 7 years after purchase. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool coverage there. Again, 1 to 2 years is pretty like standard, but obviously it can go up from there, usually with those premium brands. And like we mentioned last week's show, the majority of brands that we review on our channel are brands we are choosing to review because they are just, companies that support their products. Every now and then we kind of like have like a new up and comer like type thing. And we kind of like disclose that up front, like, hey, they're new, trying to get their sea legs under them. But we typically just work with brands that have established reputations for a reason, because warranty and coverage is obviously very important. Want to know that what you're spending money on is got some guarantees baked in. So again, hopefully that helps kind of clear up the question a little bit.
I just on that note, sometimes working with smaller companies, that can be an advantage. We've talked about that sometimes, where a smaller customer service team, it can be better at reaching out, depending on how that works out. But
yeah, 100%. Sometimes you will get like the, hey, we know we're like smaller, and like trying to establish that reputation. So like we're very quick and responsive to with those things. We've seen that before.
Yeah.
So just some things to think about there. All right, so next up, though, we have a question from last week's show from Bloom Prism, who says, hey, y'all, new rider here, relearning to ride for the first time in 20 years and looking for some advice. I've got my eyes on a Lectric Breeze, and there are a couple of shops near me that have it available. However, to get to those shops for repairs or maintenance, I'd be relying on someone else for transportation. As much as I'd like to support a local business by buying directly from them, is there anything I stand to gain from ordering from a shop that's more difficult for me to access, or am I better off just ordering online for a cheaper price with discount code plus free cargo rack and vendors, and taking it for a tune-up at a shop closer to home? You've both been a great source of info while I've been diving into the world of e-bikes, and I appreciate the weekly report as always. Thank you very much. We appreciate the nice words.
Yeah, and the Lectric Breeze is a very cool bike, so if that's what you end up going with, I think that's a really good choice. But yeah, let's kind of dive into that. So bottom line is it is just kind of a personal decision for sure. Whatever works best for you. We definitely can't, argue against choosing a better deal, whatever that means. But we do also acknowledge that, we benefit from direct to consumer sales. That's why in every review, we encourage you that if the bike that we are talking about seems to fit you and you want to purchase it, you can help to support our work by using the links that we always put in the description box. Mm-hmm. But, when it comes to actual shops, depending on how that works, what brand and whatever, in the case of, let's just say, you're going to a Lectric dealer, the mechanics at that shop would be very well versed in working on Lectric bikes. If you, just buy an e-bike online and plan to take it to a shop that doesn't necessarily deal in them, they may or may not be willing to work on that bike. So we always, recommend reaching out to the shop that you plan to use for maintenance and just make sure that they're okay with whatever you're, looking to purchase there. Brands will also often have customer service teams that are, willing to help you out. If you want to do maintenance at home, there's plenty of online resources for that. But, getting things from a dealer, also, they have access to all the parts that they're going to need for those bikes. So again, a little bit here, there, whatever works best for you. I just personally, I do not own a vehicle that I can transport a bike with. So when my bike got serviced recently, I rode it to my shop and then just took an Uber home. So that was a pretty simple way to take care of the problem there. Mm-hmm. So, that's an option, I guess. Yeah,
definitely. So I think kind of like bottom line there, you can definitely support the local shop if you want to. You can support creators like us. Again, our affiliate links do help benefit us. We're appreciative if you choose to use that. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, end of the day, who you want to support, that is up to you. Just go with whatever is the best, most convenient deal for you. And if you have dealers nearby, at least now you got some like servicing and warranty access that way.
Definitely.
All right.
Moving on, though, this is a question from Griffin's Ride One Up Prodigy V2 LX review on YouTube from John Spooner 4128. How tall are you? I'm 6 foot, thinking about ordering one.
So I am 6'1", and I think you should probably order one. So, so let's talk a little bit about that bike. So while I'm 6'1", more crucially, I have a 32-inch inseam. I am more torso than legs for most people of my height. So with all of that in mind, that is a bike that does kind of skew small. That is something I've said. I've reviewed like 90% of Ride One Up's products. Sure. Just kind of get that way in the rotation here. Their products skew a little bit on the smaller side. So just kind of like know that going into it. I found I had adequate leg extension on that bike, so I felt fairly comfortable. Now that being said, I do think I'd maybe like swap out the stem and handlebar or something like that. I do remember wanting like a little bit more rise, maybe a little bit longer reach, things like that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't unmanageable by any means, but for like optimum comfort, I probably would have changed those things up when I came to that bike. So again, just some things to kind of know about that going into it. And those are pretty easy DIY like things. Stem and handlebars, not crazy stuff to kind of swap out to make it a little more comfortable. Ultimately, I think it'll kind of like boil down to how much off-roading you plan on doing. That is kind of like a hybrid style e-bike where you can, ride it on pavement or take it a little off-roading. Now for me, when it comes to pavement riding, I don't mind if things are a little bit small and kind of like make do with that. When it comes to off-roading, I like to feel very secure and planted. So I would like definitely get a wider handlebar, things like that. If you're going to be doing a lot of off-roading, again, might be a little on the small side. I think they did change up their height recommendations for that. When I reviewed the bike, I think it was like they posted at 6'3". They've since revised that down to like 6'1", I believe. So kind of like right there on the cusp. I think you can definitely ride it and have a good time. I don't have like a permanent rankings list. It's not something I do, but like that's one of my like top 10 favorite bikes I've ever ridden. I thought it was great value. It was on my short list of if I were to go buy a bike, it would probably be one I'd take a look at. I thought it had a great motor, really good engagement, overall terrific value. It's currently on sale too, so under $2,000. So really good deal. And I think even if you have like a 34-inch inseam, it still felt like there was just enough leg extension to kind of like make that work. Again, maybe a little bit more optimized for me at 32-inch, but yeah, just some things to know.
I have a supplemental question to this, mostly out of my own personal curiosity, but a lot of times during our review process, we just kind of hop on a bike and we don't spend a ton of time like getting to know it over the course of weeks, right? And in those cases, I think you tend to dial things in a lot more. How often do you adjust the rails on your saddle?
For a review bike?
Yeah.
If it's like egregious when I like hop on it and I feel like, oh, I could use a little bit more space there. Yeah. It's like the first thing I'll do. Like I said, I've kind of got like my ideal comfort zone. And if like that expands to like, I can make this work 98% of the time, it's in the, I can make this work. It's only been like so bad. I was like, okay, I got to adjust the rails and stuff like that. Again, where it's like a team testing effort here and we have people on it like 4 weeks. Collectively, there are like weeks across this bike.
Right, yeah.
I don't usually make everything just like Griffin optimized because there's different people hopping on and off of it all the time. So
that is really why I was curious. Yeah, I tend to not usually mess with it. But, in the case of this where you mentioned, the reach, that is something you can do with the bike as is. But,
yeah,
I don't even do it very often, but it's an option.
Absolutely. That option is there. All right. So our next question comes to us from Zach on the Heybike Mars 3.0 review on their website, who says, hi, thank you for the detailed review. A lot of good information. Heybike Mars 3.0 seems very similar to the XP4 750 watt. Adding these similar price options, it makes it hard for me to decide as a buyer. Not to mention the XP4 claims a higher range than Mars 3.0, but performed worse in the review, 28.6 miles and not 36.9, like in your XP4 review. If you have to choose between these two as your main e-bike, which one would you pick and why? Great question, Zach.
Always very good. This is an opportunity for a comparison. Now, I do want to, just really clarify up front that asking us for our personal recommendations isn't always the most helpful just because everyone has different preferences, sizes, heights, riding styles, all of that stuff.
So, always good to get that out of the way.
Yeah,
up front.
We're gonna, in this case, as always with our comparisons, we're gonna go over performance data and just kind of like our biggest takeaways, both good and bad from the bikes, and then hopefully point you towards the one that works best for how you work and what your preferences are. So I will take the Mars 3.0 since I reviewed that one and you did the 750 Griffin.
I'm good.
But yeah, starting off with some performance data here. Let's talk about our speed and speed test. So both of these bikes are Class 2 and Class 3 capable. With the Mars 3.0, you get a pretty even distribution of speed across all assist levels in both modes. And that is really primarily due to the fact that this bike has preset speed limits. So it's a little bit uncommon with that. I mean, it's a torque sensing e-bike paired with these preset speed limits, and you can adjust those through the Heybike app. But in the case of the XP4, that bike handles things a little bit differently.
Yeah, it does. So on that one, it uses a hybrid torque and cadence sensor. It's a torque sensor technically, just a little more cadence-like feel. There's no preset speed limits on that. So in Class 2 mode in particular, the speeds kind of cluster together there a little bit in the higher power levels. We saw better speed distribution across Class 3 settings, though a little bit more of that like linear distribution that we usually like to see on the graph. But
that is pretty common.
It is obviously not uncommon at all.
In terms of range, actually, the numbers that you pointed out there were, one of them was right, one of them was incorrect. So if we're looking at the Mars 3.0, both these bikes are very similar, even though they have different battery sizes. Again, just kind of with those speed limits that kind of adjusts things here. But for the Mars 3.0, we had 34.3 and 61 miles with those preset speed limits.
Over on the XP4, we got 36.9 and 63.4 miles. So like John said, very similar. Eke out a smidge more on the XP4, but fairly comparable.
For sure. In our brake test, so this is where there is a significant difference, but not in terms of overall safety. The Mars 3.0 had an average stopping distance of 20 feet and 8 inches.
And the XP4 had 16 feet 1 inches, which is still a top 3 performer in our braking database. So good news there. Like both are very safe, like brakes, and are beating the average of e-bikes, but undeniably better stopping power on the XP4.
I mean, yeah, those brakes are insane. They're so powerful, and that's a custom system there. So yeah, on the hill test though, so this is at our new hill test location, the Devil's Backbone. So the Mars 3.0 made it to the top in 1 minute and 51 seconds on throttle and 1 minute and 53 seconds pedaling.
And then the XP4 did it in 1 minute 41 on throttle and 1 minute 39 on pedal. So throttle, fairly similar. A little bit more of a gap on pedal.
I mean, it's faster in both. And that is interesting because the Mars 3.0 on paper does have the more powerful motor. And the XP4 is a little bit heavier, but interesting to see how that worked out.
That's why we put them on that hill. Find out, you know?
Exactly. So then big takeaways here from both bikes, the Mars 3.0, the geometry here is pretty standard for a folding e-bike, but that means that the reach is a little bit on the long side. It's not quite as ergonomic feeling as the XP4, but it is also only one of the couple of full suspension folding e-bikes that we've tested. So, you know, the suspension is a little bit more plush on that bike versus the springy suspension seat post.
Well, I was going to say one of the only couple full suspension, the other one being also a Heybike.
Also a Heybike, correct. Yeah. So, you know, if ride comfort, I guess there's kind of two different aspects that you're looking at in terms of ride comfort. One is geometry, one is suspension squish. And it definitely, I would say, wins in the suspension squish department, but isn't as strong in the geometry department. The Mars 3.0, though, is more all-terrain friendly. So you have 4-inch tires there that are knobby, and you also have that rear suspension. So, you know, you can really, you know, handle some fairly rough terrain with that bike. The Mars 3.0 also pairs with the Heybike app that I mentioned. So you can really kind of tune and customize how the bike behaves for you. Also gives it a little bit more of a high-tech feel just because you have that connectivity. It has both front and rear turn signals, which is just pretty uncommon in general on all of e-bikes. You know, Heybike is one of the few brands that we've seen that on most of their e-bikes anyway. Then that bike has a torque sensor, as we talked about, but the pedal assist system there just feels a little bit different. So Griffin mentioned that the XP4 was sort of a blend in feel of torque and cadence, whereas this one is pretty hardcore on torque. That makes it a little bit more responsive, but also a little bit touchier as well. So it can, I'm not going to say jerky, but you do get more fluctuations in speed. And then, you know, whether you love it or hate it, the throttle can exceed 20 miles per hour on the Heybike, and the bike actually can exceed 30 miles per hour as well. So some differences there.
You also said something about hardcore torque in there, which I believe is the name of your metal band back in your goth phase. Is that correct?
It absolutely was.
Hardcore torque. All right.
I did have a band back in those days.
Nice. I'm going to ask more questions about that later. Okay. So a couple of distinguishing things on the XP4 750 side of things. So this is one of the most comfortable folding e-bikes we've tested just in terms of its geometry. A huge reason for that is the riding position is a little more relaxed and ergonomic due to a 0-degree stem and relatively wide handlebars for a folder. That stem is really nice. Just kind of, again, brings that reach in a little bit more close than we typically find on the folding style. Bike has a lower total payload capacity of 330 pounds versus the Mars 440, but its frame integrated rack can carry up to 150 pounds, including a passenger with some optional accessories. So some good things that you can do, optionality there.
I didn't note this, but it's 100 pounds on the Mars 3.0's rack.
Oh, okay. So. Thank you. Good clarification there. It's also just extremely sturdy, but also a little on the heavy side. Like our test bike weighed 74 pounds, and we did have some Tannis tire liners on our particular model. So just keep that in mind. Probably weighs a little bit closer to 70. Its custom brake system, again, one of the best performing that we have ever tested, bar none. We were actually really, really pleasantly surprised with that result. Yes. And then, you know, as John talked about, it's got a torque sensor, a little bit different. Lectric's ethos there with the torque sensor is let's make sure the ride is still comfortable and like easy to kind of get some power. You don't have to work too hard, but it still has that reward. You push harder, you will get more motor power that way. And then, you know, Lectric does also kind of have that cachet of just being the #1 selling e-bike brand in North America. And that's like, no asterisks. They sell more e-bikes than any other brand.
Undoubtedly.
So there is some comfort in, you know, knowing that as well. So ultimately, though, recommendation-wise, what would you say, John?
So yeah, if you're looking at the Mars 3.0, we would say that this is really best for anybody who wants that squish, the full suspension comfort, and the highest possible speeds, but who don't mind having those preset speed limits that, again, are adjustable. This bike is also pretty well suited for heavier riders with the higher payload capacity, as well as those who plan to do the most off-roading with the wider, knobbier tires, and those who like the app connectivity and customization. But on the XP4 side, we would say that that bike is best for those who don't mind the higher weight, for better overall performance in most places. It's also ideal for those who want the most ergonomic feel, the ability to carry passengers on that cargo rack, and again, just the backing of one of the biggest bike brands in the world. So
100%.
hopefully that helps you out. We're always happy to, interact with follow-up questions. So if there's anything that we missed there that you're still curious about, let us know down in the comments. We're happy to respond again.
And if it helps you decide one way or another, let us know. We always appreciate figuring out which one you end up rolling with, Zach. So.
Absolutely. But then, is this our last question of the day? This is a long one. This is from the Moon Cool Trike review on YouTube from John Enoch 2874. He says, my friend just bought one and found the assembly instructions almost useless, and it won't lock correctly at the folding hinge. Watching a review is really not helpful. You haven't shown how to fold and open the frame, how the hinge and lock work, no mention of safety when taking turns, a huge issue for all adult tricycles. Adult tricycles can be dangerous at turns. Actually, above 5 miles per hour, they are more dangerous than electric bicycles because of tip overs. No mention of how heavy it is to lift and load in a vehicle. These are capital letters, by the way. These are far more practical considerations than the things you've discussed. Most people who might buy one are elderly or slightly impaired physically and will have trouble lifting it into a vehicle. No, and they cannot afford a fall. A fall could greatly shorten an elderly person's life. Adult tricycles are not for anyone who has enough balance to ride a two-wheeler, and they cannot be safely ridden at speed in most conditions because they cannot swerve to avoid something unexpected. They will tip over. This is, I think, a good point to remind everyone that, as I said earlier, I enjoy it when we get some pushback. And
Yeah, 100%.
This is an opportunity to dive into some deeper things here. So what do we have to say, Griffin?
So, it's all John's fault. He did that review, so John is wrong and bad at his job. No, so in all seriousness, I'm just having fun with John. So we apologize, first of all, if we missed any points in that review that we could have covered better or anything like that. I would just say, though, that when it comes to trikes, just kind of bear in mind, it sounds like the wrong product was purchased for the particular set of needs you had. Because when it comes to trikes and bikes, they are just very fundamentally different things. Mm-hmm. The one area I would disagree with you is saying it's unsafe for seniors or anything like that. As a matter of fact, seniors are usually the number one demographic buying trikes because they do need to be operated at slower speeds. It's just inherent with the design that they have. So again, this is kind of like one of those cases of just, you need to know that it is a different animal altogether. Matter of fact, actually, like reading through this comment, I thought of like my mom, for example. She does not feel very safe and secure on bikes, and she had it in her head. She's like, I just know once I hop on a trike, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be golden. She made it about 20 feet until she tipped over. So there is just a different way you have to ride and operate these things. It's not built in that it's just like easier because it has three wheels. You do need to learn how to operate them safely, but in general, if you do operate a little bit more slowly, they are easier to balance on. We do encourage people to take corners slowly, as most seniors and trike riders just know inherently that you need to slow things down a little bit and go slower. We, as a matter of fact, would recommend, we like the trikes that give you the ability to set your speed. We always recommend to keep it around like 14 miles per hour or so for like optimal riding. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to going into corners, yes, slow down more dramatically than that, like 5 miles per hour or less is recommended there. But again, so many seniors or people with other sort of like balance limitations or disabilities or anything like that love trikes and rave about them all day because, again, kind of like we discussed earlier in the show, e-bikes help people like kind of get back some like mobility they maybe didn't have before. Sure. It's the same thing with trikes. Some people, they can't do two wheels anymore, or they just prefer the feel of a trike. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly like it opens up and expands their world for sure. So again, I kind of hope that helps a little bit. And like, we've tested a bunch of different trikes and just found most of them are pretty stable. Again, you kind of have to learn how to use and operate them, but we've actually been pretty happy with most of the things that we've had come through the doors here in the trike world. So, The Mooncool TK1 more specifically, kind of like in the middle in terms of like balance and things like that. There are some that are a little bit stronger in this regard. Some notable ones, we talked about it earlier, but the Brad Powerbike Rad Trike, again, they went for as wide of a design as possible while still fitting in a doorway. It's a very nice and balanced trike on that one.
It's also very low, which really helps.
It does for sure. The Lectric XP Trike 2 is another great example of trike construction, and same with the Lectric Triker, which we also talked about earlier in this show. So some of these are lighter, have narrower wheels, not narrower wheelers, and typically are more prone to tipping at speeds. But again, when it comes to like the folding of trikes as well, we've also found that most trikes aren't all that practical with the whole folding thing.
Yeah.
So a little industry secret, a big reason you see a lot of folding trikes is because they're easier to ship.
It makes the boxes smaller.
It makes the boxes smaller, and you can actually have it like more assembled that way, so it's more convenient for you to unpack it. Yep. Now, there are some benefits of that. It is a little bit easier for transportation or storage. Those are kind of just like, like bonus features, but largely it's because it's just easier to ship and get them in your hands that way.
They're still big and typically pretty heavy. So, in the case of trikes that do fold and that are more on the manageable side, we still recommend, at least 2 sets of hands when you're loading those up.
Because again, we've kind of found that when most people like purchase trikes, they're not just loading them up and taking them around.
Yeah.
They are heavier, they are more cumbersome, yada, yada, yada. But again, that's just not what most trike riders are looking for. They're just looking for something that gets them, out the front door and just enjoying the bike paths and trails and things like that in front of them.
Yeah.
So again, e-trikes have been super popular and actually some of the top selling products in the electric bike / trike world. So there's a lot of people out on the road enjoying them. I wouldn't look down on them for any reason. And, another statement I'd probably disagree with, if you can ride on 2 wheels, that's great. But if you're feeling a little bit shaky on those 2 wheels, definitely give 3 wheels a try. Again, a little bit of a learning curve, but once you understand how they operate, you can really just ride them and have a great time. So.
Yeah, and again, thank you for leaving the comment on this review. I do want to just acknowledge that, again, if I left anything out of that review, thanks for calling me out on that, and I'll be sure to, call those things out in future trike reviews, just to make sure that these are things everyone should be aware of, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. But thank you so much for all the questions this week. Again, as a reminder, we could be answering your questions next week. Leave us a comment down below on this video, at our website, or questions at electricbikereport.com.
Griffin, am I starting or are you starting?
Let's just start together.
Okay.
John, what time is it?
It's time for
Deals of the Week. Deals of the Week. All right.
Yeah, let's see. We got pretty slim pickings this week, but we've found a couple things for you. So over on Retrospec's website, the Koa Rev 2 Fat Tire e-bike is $100 off. All around, it's a pretty solid bike. It's affordable. It's, not the most powerful thing out there, but can be a good thing.
I was like, it's kind
you
of
want something a little more reserved, then that's you.
Nice change of pace. Like, just enjoy the stability of fat tires, 500-watt motor, just to kind of like more of like a fat tire cruiser than like anything else, But really nice, pleasant experience and $100 off. Hard to beat.
As is everything from Retrospect.
Yeah, they got a lot of
good
sales
bikes
going on there as well. So this one, like John said, slim pickings this week are just really a lot of the deals we've talked about in recent weeks are still up and live, so you can check those out as well. But did notice that Lectric's trying something a little bit different. So most of their models, which are, again, already some of the lowest prices that you will find, they've got a bunch of different accessory packages going with them. Some things like on the Express 750, for example, you can get like the upgraded headlight or a suspension seat post along with the purchase, including like racks, fenders, things like that. But for fun, they are including mystery gift packages. So 2 random items will be coming with the purchase of that bike and some other models that they have as well.
Fascinating.
I tried to look to see if I could find a hint, and either I didn't see it, so I don't know if it's helmets or if it's a lock, or they're sending you one of the gremlins from the movie Gremlin. I don't really know. They say it's a spooky surprise.
Don't put it in the microwave.
Don't put it in the microwave. Definitely not. So not sure what it is, but again, if you're looking at electric bike, they do got some accessory packages going on, including some surprise ones. But that's going to do it for
Deals of the Week. As we talked about before, we take a section of the show, take out some time to really thank each and every one of you for joining us, for writing in, for contributing to the show. So we like to highlight a Rider of the Week. But before we talk about this week's Rider of the Week, do want to just sort of wrap things up with talking about t-shirts. As I said earlier, we have a poll going on. We have 21 t-shirt designs that you can pick and choose from. There's a Google form down in the the description box. There we go. That you can take a look at and let us know which ones you like. But also, we mentioned a giveaway earlier in the show, we're going to give t-shirts away to 3 people. We're going to choose some lucky winners based on your comments. So make sure to drop those down below. Let us know what bike you have, what bikes you like, how you use them, where you ride them, all of that good stuff. And, be sure to thank us for all the hard work we do. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's all good. Anyway, moving on, though.
You guys spending the time here with us, that is thanks enough. We do appreciate the audience support. So moving into our Rider of the Week, we picked Catabeso, I think is the name, off the Trek FX Plus 7S review on YouTube. But he actually signed it off at the end, said his name is Will, so I'll just stick with Will.
Thanks, Will.
I really like the comment this week. A little bit of a question thrown in here too. So comment says, first, thank you guys for your channel, your reviews, your weekly broadcasts, and your general enthusiasm. It's clear how much you love what you do, and I appreciate your sharing your experiences with us. You most certainly are not shills. Someone watched last week's episode.
Yes. Awesome.
So second, I have watched and read your review of this bike several times in the last couple of months. Finally, today I test drove and actually bought one. Cool. The feel is so natural, a joy to ride, and it climbs hills like a champ, no throttle needed. And it's so light, I can put it on the same bike rack as my analog bike. So one thing that did surprise me was that I felt more comfortable on the medium frame than the large, though my height at 5'10" is supposedly a bit past the max rider height for the medium, according to Trek's website. So question, do you guys ever find that you prefer the wrong frame size for a particular bike? Anyway, thanks guys for helping me make a purchase, and keep up the good work, from Will. Will, first of all, thank you so much for, following along with us, for the kind words, and we're glad you ended up with a Trek bike. That's really...
It's a sweet bike.
The FX Plus 7S was a really good ride. So to answer your question, sometimes I think I usually kind of stick to the sizing that's optimized for me. The height chart and stuff like that can be a little bit weird and misleading, because it's a good general catch-all, but you can get very specific in your reach and your stack height, leg extension, all of the different needs and stuff like that. More often than not, I can stick with what I've got and I'm good. Now, when it comes to mountain bikes or something like that, if anything, especially if I'm kind of on the cusp of two sizes, I like to size up a little bit. I like just extra stability, just a little bit more spread out, like whatever the case may be. I just like to feel as planted as possible when mountain biking. But when it comes to a city bike, I actually kind of leaning into some of the city qualities, or really sharp handling, kind of darting around, things like that. So more often than not, like I said, kind of down the middle of the road, but if I'm on the cusp, just depends on the style of bike, really.
Yeah, it's interesting that this comes up, because one of the few bikes that I remember testing that was a smaller size that I actually really loved was the Yamaha Crosscore RC. We got the medium in, and that I think it's because I got my start in bikes in the BMX side of things, and so riding something that's a little shorter, more nimble, that quality in the Yamaha was really awesome. We got the medium. So actually, when I ended up buying an e-bike, I didn't really have a choice just because of where and how I bought it. But I went with a medium there, and I really like it because of that same quality. It is it's a little bit more playful in how it handles. But to round this section out, I did want to just say, Will, that you will also get a t-shirt.
That's right.
As will everyone who we have talked about in this section. So since we have announced you here, please be sure to write us back. You can email us at questions@electricbikereport.com, or fill out the form in the description box to let us know your preferred t-shirt size, your address, that sort of thing, so we can get stuff to you. And then those of you who are going to leave comments, in the hope that you get one of those 3 t-shirts that we're going to give away, stick around next week. Definitely watch the show. We will announce those winners, and then you will then need to respond to us with that information as well. But that does it for this week's Rider of the Week. If you're still hanging out, sticking around with us, we really appreciate you joining us for 52 previous episodes, and now here for this one, the 1-year anniversary. This was a really special one. We're going to get into these treats here, that's for sure.
Yes, we are.
Until next time, please subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff.
For sure. And again, just like John said, really appreciate you guys following along for the last year. Just want to give huge thanks to our audience for watching, for making the show possible. We've got some big plans with it moving forward. We're going to be asking for your opinion and feedback. Please give that to us along the way. And also just huge thank you to, again, everyone that you don't get to see. We've been a little bit more open on the this episode. Even had like a live stream going off to the side.
Christina, Michael.
I was gonna say, but huge thanks to Christina, to Jaden, our camera crew, to Bruno, our editor, to Michael, Justin, like part of like the production team and our bosses, Mike, who helps out, all of our range testers, you know, Asha, Jason, Thomas, just so many great people who like make this whole thing possible. Really appreciative of everyone. And here's to 1 year and hopefully many more.
Many more. That's right.
That's going to do it for this episode of The Weekly Recharge.